Justin.
Paul, hey.
Now, Paul,
Hi, Justin.
I want you to take this. It's dangerous out there.
It's dangerous to go alone.
Dangerous to go alone. Well, good thing we're together, right? We are.
Trying to grab it from you.
Every episode.
Yes.
We're always together every episode. We really should try to mix that up someday.
We're not alone, though. We know we're not alone. We don't.
No.
And a wooden sword isn't really going to help us. Here.
No. What would your response be to that if something like that would have happened? If you just appeared in a forest? I don't even know how he got in that area. He just was all of a sudden there.
Yep, and then you walk into a cave.
For no reason.
Because why not? There's a cave right there, so you might as well explore it.
I mean,
and there's fire, right? So you see, it's lit, but somebody's in there. And you go down, and it's an old man just standing with his hands apart, just staring at you. And when you come up to him, he says, "It's dangerous to go alone. Take this."
No.
And
would be weird if the words actually showed up on the floor. Like that's just all that happened. Was you just saw the text?
It's behind him, on the wall. You're looking around him trying to read it. What does that say? It's dangerous to go. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. And you just bend over and pick it up. Okay, thanks. And he disappears.
I think in the game, I feel like in the booklet of the game. I know we're starting this episode already talking about what we're going to talk about. But I feel like in the beginning is that the instructions said you would receive some note to go see this old dude. I'm sure it did because all those old instruction booklets they say go.
They try to give you a hint don't just leave the screen because you're gonna die. Just go into that cave. I think there's a cave. Yeah, I remember that booklet was so cool. All the little drawings of Link, but that it is a little map of the first screen, and it's must check this area out, and an arrow pointing at the cave.
Yep.
And it's okay, okay, I'll check the cave out, sure.
But I guess if no one really didn't realize this, we're going to be talking about caves, our favorite caves this episode, right?
There's a lot of caves in this series. We're gonna be talking about our favorite Zelda games, and it's hard not to talk about caves and waterfalls and burning bushes and digging things and all sorts of useful tools that get used only once throughout the whole game. There's lots of that.
But we do a lot of these kind of shows, though. I don't know if you haven't been to the show before and you happen to see Zelda because Zelda's awesome. So I'm glad that you started with this one. We're big Zelda fans. The franchise is is one of our favorites, probably. I don't know if it is the favorite, but it's definitely up there. But generally, that's what we talk about in this show. This show is actually called Playing Favorites for a reason. We like to pick a topic and do a little bit of research and figure out why we like something so much.
That's right, Justin. And this week, as you've said, we're talking about our favorite Zelda game. We have lots of other things out there, though, too. We have our YouTube channel over at youtube.com/playingfavorites. You can see other podcasts, other episodes of our show, as well as some of our bonus stuff might show up there eventually. But if you want the real bonus stuff that's getting released monthly, you can come check us out over on our Patreon page, playingfavorites.com/ or patreon.com/playingfavorites.
One of our bonus episodes that's coming out this month has to do with this episode.
Absolutely, it does. We're taking a deep dive into the most...
maybe we shouldn't say until we bring it up in the show. Because we don't know. We don't know where it's
going to bring it up?
Are you sure if we don't, I feel like we'll be pitchforked and torched down the street.
Tarred and feathered. But yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff over on our Patreon page, and big thank you to our patrons, Mac40K Painting and Josh Benoit, and all of our other supporters. We really appreciate everything you guys
especially through 2020. Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. Yes, because we're now in 2021, by the way. It's our first show of 2021. Oh, yeah. That's right. We survived. We got through it. Mm-hmm. That was your New Year's, by the way. If you didn't check out our holiday special that was made before the New Year's.
Yes. My New Year's was good. It was very small. It was just my wife and my parents, actually. It was a very weird dynamic. But the best part of it is we're like, okay, we're all staying up. I got some champagne. we're gonna pop the cork. We're gonna have like an old-fashioned New Year's celebration. It's just the four of us. And 9:30, I took a picture of the three other people next to me that were all asleep. At 10:30, I took a picture of them all asleep. And then at 11:30, I took a picture of the three of them all asleep. And the only reason I woke up my wife was because she was snoring so loudly I could not hear the TV. So I was trying to watch a movie. My dad was fighting it. He was trying to come back, but they were all just out. So I was taking pictures of them and kind of sending it to family, like Happy New Year, we're going strong, and it's just me and like three sleeping people.
Oh my God, man!
So I woke them up with enough time to just toast and have some champagne and go to bed.
my daughter stayed up for the first time all the way through. She got to experience. Like last year, she wanted me to wake her up, so I woke her up at midnight, and she was like a zombie, not understanding anything. But this year, she got to experience it like all the way through, and no, it's a good time. It was like our Christmas though with my family, so we kind of had Christmas the next morning, so it was like a bunch of presents under the tree. But I know that's not why we're here to talk about that. I just thought I'd ask. Good.
I just thought I'd be polite.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll get to Zelda, people. We have to exchange some pleasantries here too.
I hope your New Year's was great as well, listeners.
Have you made any New Year's resolutions?
Me?
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm talking to the cat behind me. I resolved.
I'm gonna just cop it out. I'm just gonna say, better my health. Not your normal lose weight, better your health, but just help fix all the problems that are wrong with me.
Okay. Yes. Start fixing the leaky ship here before it sinks, right?
Yeah.
Got to start some. We all got to start someday.
And read more books. That's the other one. I want to do. Because I don't read enough.
Good for you, man. I will. If you ever want a recommendation, well, no, there's lots of High Republic stuff coming out.
Get
a lot of Star Wars
2 days.
Awesome things coming out. So no, you'll be set for a bit. But I feel like 2020 was a year for books for me because I read a lot of books and I listened to a lot of audiobooks, way more than I think I have ever done in a year, maybe since grad school or maybe even more than that. But it's been a good year. I'm hoping for more books in 2021 too.
But all that aside, typically we usually like to start off this episodes because we're going to be talking about our favorite Zelda game. But just to kind of warm ourselves up, if we aren't already, you have some surprise topics for me, right?
I do. I have actually two questions for you, but the first one I want to ask is one that I've kind of debated with myself, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it.
I'm so bad at answering these things. What?
What's your favorite Zelda musical instrument?
Well, okay. Here's the thing: is it one that he's played? Or is it one he's collected?
So I'll broaden it to I guess it could be ones that he's collected. It could also be the like in Majora's Mask, you don't get like a yes. That's not okay. It's not a musical instrument. I will count the wand, of course.
Or was it a baton? Or what do they actually call that thing? I don't remember what they call it. It's the Wind Waker. It's called.
Tis the Wind Waker. What does it do? Like awaken the wind?
But did they actually they just call it that? They don't have this is a baton. It's called the Wind Waker. It's not like an actual.
It's not like the Wario game where it's like the Force Baton or whatever. No, it's just the Wind Waker. Wasn't that good enough for you? It's a nice name. It was so nice they put it in the title. They put Ocarina of Time in it. Yeah. I wonder what that thing is called that Link is playing.
Shut up.
Looks like some kind of flute. This is the flute of time. I don't know why that got me good.
So is the Majora's Mask an instrument then? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I was trying to say I know when you turn to a Goron, it's like the instrument changes. Mm-hmm. It could be any one of those.
I know my answer.
Any musical instrument.
I know my answer.
All right. Please
it is from Majora's Mask, and the Zora plays a guitar. That is my favorite. It's awesome when he goes and gets the guitar out.
he's rocking out every time. You can make him. Of those, the Goron bongos are a close second for me. I like those giant bongos, and like Link as a Goron too looks funny. But my favorite instrument is my favorite musical thing is the Wind Waker. All right, I like the Wind Waker a lot. I just love the fact that you're conducting music. You get to like.
You're technically conducting the wind, technically.
Oh, you want to get technical with me now, Mister? What is that called?
Well, what is it? I meant like, what is it called? Like an actual like, is it called a baton? Like, when you're conducting music, what is it called?
Yes, I believe it's just called a baton.
Okay.
We saw a lot of batons get broken when we were playing music in high school. Do you remember that?
Maybe, I don't know. You had a different like journey of music than I did.
Breaking it.
Remember, like because I was in the different band for the longest time.
Oh, that's right. You were like an advanced band.
Because I was in French class. That's the only reason why I got. It's like, oh,
they moved you to like
your schedule doesn't line up, so you get to go in the senior band as a freshman. Great.
You don't like Link playing the harp in Skyward Sword?
I do.
You don't like playing the harp?
I like all of it. It's not like I don't like anything. I like all of it. I just like I like collecting instruments in Link's Awakening because there's some nice ones in there too.
Yes.
But the guitar though, it's just an awesome little cinematic that happens when he gets that thing. It's really good.
You can make him go so fast. But good. All right. You've satisfied my first question.
Glad I can help.
My second question for you is, what is your favorite item? Just straight up, most useful item, I should say.
Okay, yeah, what
do you find is the most
two different answers.
Shouldn't the most useful one be your favorite too?
No, that's not true at all.
All right. Okay. Let's start with. Well, which one would you like to go? Would you like to explore the most useful one to you, or the one that you think is your favorite, the one you like the most, even if it's not very useful?
Well, I mean, the one that jumped in my mind, like, most useful, like, and I just think, I guess it was just different, and I liked it, and I remember, like, first time playing it, I was like, wow, it's really cool they gave an item to allow us to do this, was the feather in Link's Awakening, because it allows you to jump.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I just, like, jumping in a Zelda game back when it came out in Game Boy, it was like, what, we can jump? Wait, why? Link doesn't jump.
Like, he hasn't jumped since his adventure, Zelda 2. Only a completely different style of game.
I know. So just seeing a jump in like that top-down world, like I always loved the feather. I always loved it so much. Like I just thought it was cool that you got it. Like it was the idea was that you could jump really high. Like that was the whole point of the feather. But to me, it's like, oh, you're just jumping. Like it's like it allowed you to kind of use the jumping with the speed boots, so like you could do those kind of like long jumps, like kind of like combos together. But yeah, I always liked the feather. I thought that was the most different, I guess, most unique one. Was the feather.
You know what's one that I thought would be very useful that you ended up just using only a few times was that like the gear that you would ride in Twilight Princess.
Okay.
You remember that thing? You're just like, it's like a platform that would just like take you on a track.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that would be cool, and honestly, it reminds me of the gear box in Shovel Knight. If you remember that, like to get over spikes, you could throw that little thing and jump on the platform, and it would guide you across. But you could jump off of it. I thought you would be able to do something like that with it, but it was like you have to go on a track, and it goes in one direction, and that's it.
I would say the most used one would be the grappling hook, though, personally.
The hook shot?
Yeah, the hook shot, grappling hook, whatever you want to call it. And then you get the double hook shots, I think, later, where he's got two.
Yep.
I think that's Twilight Princess. It's like a double one. Like he hooks up one, and he's like it's like he's just going like this, like background.
Super strong, right?
Like he has to like time that right though. It's like if he doesn't let go of the other one, it's just gonna rip his arm off because the other one's pulling him the other way.
That's right. Like, there's no like connection between the two. He's gotta make sure to let go, or if he leaves one
Well,
hanging, like crap.
well, it's the thing. Like you might. I'm surprised he never loses one. Is it like just like? Is it a psychic thing? Is it work with the with the
Well,
Triforce?
you are asking a question that I grappled with the very first Zelda
Nice
when I
use of
first
the
started
word
playing with it.
grapple. Nice use of the word grapple, by the way.
Aha, nice. Because my favorite item, like my most useful item in okay, it's not the most useful. I guess that's just my favorite item. Is the boomerang.
Mm.
I love the boomerang. In the original game, like I got so nervous when I threw the boomerang and left off the screen, like
Yes.
into the next screen, and I was like, "Will it come back?" And then like I was like, "Oh my god! Oh thank God! Thank God! I have it! I still have it!"
Yeah.
Like I just remember that fear, and I was like, "Well, what did it say?" And I remember thinking that in the spot where it said like where the A button and the B button for B, it would say "lost boomerang." Like for some reason in my kid head, I was like, "Oh, if I ever lose it, it'll say lost." So I made up my own kind of like consequence for what would happen if I lost my boomerang. But I love that one. I love the magic boomerang.
I feel like the boomerang across
the
all the games though is like always like kind of a nice staple for the most part. I feel like when you get a boomerang, it's kind of exciting because it's like, oh, it's my first long range thing. Like I could do a lot of damage with this. I don't have to always use my sword. I feel like the only game, honestly, like that really didn't. I feel like the boomerang was never as a highlight was Breath of the Wild. I feel like because you had like some choice to what weapon you use a lot. Like I never really used the boomerang that much in Breath of the Wild.
I do because it's like the because they have the what's it forked like the Liz follows.
Yeah, there's that weird like angled one. Yeah, I mean I use that,
Yeah,
but
I love doing like I will use it as just like a sword. I like having those at hand in my inventory, but then I like throwing them and catching them. I love that like it's part of it. It's like oh yeah, you can throw it. It'll come back.
I think what deterred me from using it was that you would have to swap your sword out for it. So like in all the other games, it became like a secondary item. It was always there, so you could swipe boomerang, like there you had to like do like a whole like switcheroo to make the boomerang happen. And I think that I wish they had more secondary items in Breath of the Wild a little bit more versus just sword boomerang. Like I feel like that would have been a little bit cooler if it could have like you could have that like A B style kind of mentality. But that's just
it would be cool
thing.
that
It's a picky thing.
Yes, and hey, maybe that's something that in the sequel they'll explore. I thought that maybe if you could replace your shield with the boomerang, so you throw it left-handed and still be able to slash with your sword. That'd was the
cool.
only.
That'd be cool if you could like double wielding weapons, like you know, have one sword and the boomerang in the other. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, would be.
Sounds like sounds like too modern of a game though. I don't think we should be able to do
that. No, something about Link wielding double battle axes or something that just seems a little too much.
Maybe as a Goron.
Like a lot of Zelda games is like the acquisition of these items to whether it's to fight a boss specifically, and these games are very, you know, they're guilty of that. Like, oh, I got a slingshot. Here's something with a giant eye. You know that. But I do appreciate that the boomerang in Breath of the Wild is just like a weapon and not like a wind thing, which they were doing in Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess. I'm like, I don't care about making little tornadoes. I just want something that'll hit the enemy right between the eyes and stun them, so I can go and stab
boomerang in Ocarina of Time was awesome. Like, because that was when you first used Z targeting. It was like,
oh yes,
and it just looked cool. You know, it was like it had like I think like a nice like decorative jewel on it and everything. It looked like it was like fancy looking.
Was it in Wind Waker where you could select multiple targets with it?
Yeah.
And kind of like mow across something. Yes, the boomerang rules. All right. Well, thank you, Justin. And you were worried about answering surprise topics. You did great.
I don't usually do good. It's funny. My brother mentioned it to me. He's like I'm just as bad at answering questions like you are. Like when he was like listening to the episode, he's like on the spot because I think over the holiday break I asked him like what his favorite video game was. He's like, this is hard. Like, I mean, that's a hard question to answer. But
Sure,
like,
sure.
he's just like, yeah, I'm like you. I can't. I have to think about this for like weeks.
It's hard to narrow something down to something like that down to one thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, this was a little bit. And as we go, I'm sure we'll be thinking about other items and abilities, and Zelda things as we
One item
traverse
I don't
this.
like is though I thought they were funny was the bomb shoes, like the rat looking bombs.
Yeah, no, those suck.
Those were kind of silly.
Those suck. I remember getting them initially, and I never did anything with them. I know there were like games to play, and I was just like, I don't care. I don't really want to aim this and do this.
But
Aiming in those games is hard.
that's
But
especially the old ones. That's for sure.
yes, yes. All right, Justin. I feel like we are suitably warmed.
I'm very warmed up. Let's go.
Well, let's take a let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back and we'll talk about our honorable mentions.
And we're back. Paul, you ready to start talking about our favorite Zelda game?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, before we do though, I do have some Zelda facts for you.
I knew you were gonna. I knew you had something. Yes, please.
I actually have a lot. I actually have a lot of Zelda facts. I have one on my computer, but I also have some Zelda facts from this.
Is it the encyclopedia? Yeah.
Zelda Encyclopedia. I got this from a friend who, for some random reason, got accidentally two, and decided to give it to me as a birthday present. So it's really cool. I've like kind of skimmed through it. I haven't really done too much with it, but there's it's a lot of fun stuff in here. And I think this came out right when Breath of the Wild came out, but it's a really cool book.
Is it the same thing as the compendium, the Hyrule Compendium?
I don't know if it's that. I don't know. I mean,
I think that might have been. I think what I'm thinking of is older.
Yeah, like it goes through like every single item. It like talks about everything, like every item, every town, every village. Nice. Like it talks about every single. I don't think this comes with. I think this comes with a timeline, because that's the one fun thing about Zelda, the timeline. Trying to figure out what that is, that's like a whole episode in itself.
The book I'm thinking of was the compendium that came out with Skyward Sword that had like a timeline, like this is now the timeline. Like
that's not this. This one.
So that should be in that book too.
This one, it probably is in here somewhere. I haven't looked at it in quite some time, but I think this came out like 2 years ago.
I gotta say, I'm really glad that they've embraced this kind of like weird disjointed timeline. And they're kind of just like, yeah, like some things happened way in the past, some things happened way in the future,
or sometimes happen in other dimensions, like other timelines. Yep. It's like this because of this.
It's happened. Almost like when people ask like, did this happen like on a different planet? They're like, yes, it did. They're just like, sure, okay. Like we just wanted to make a Zelda story, and you guys figure out where it belongs in the timeline.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like that's the one of the Zelda games is that they even admit to this. The gameplay comes first, then the story. So they always go backwards, but that's why the games are fun. They're not kind of bogged down by the narrative. They don't
exactly. It's like we all kind of know what the narrative is at heart. Yep. It's a very similar structure, and it really does start with the honorable mention I'm going to bring up. But I got to ask, do you have any more Zelda facts?
Well, I just thought it was interesting to talk about the just because I thought it was cool, like the sales of Zelda games.
Ooh.
And obviously, Breath of the Wild kind of blew everyone's skirt up the last few years.
Yes.
And I just thought it was interesting to say that it like beats number 2 by over 10 million.
Oh.
Like it just sort of like Breath of the Wild sold 21.41 million, where Twilight Princess, which I was surprised is number 2, sold 8.69 million. I just thought that was crazy. And then
Twilight Princess was like the first, like it felt like really 3D game, right?
True.
That was the one that was like, okay, this was You remember that cinematic that floated around for a while of Zelda or Link and Ganon fighting in like a dungeon?
Yeah.
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember.
So it was that like it was around that time where people are like, oh my god, like that could be the next Zelda, and then finally, uh, it was actually Wind Waker that came out next. So people were very disappointed
I know. It's
first,
true. Well,
and then Twilight Princess came out.
Yeah, and I think that this comes down to the fact that Breath of the Wild was an amazing game for one, but also
Sure.
Twilight Princess was on the Wii, so the Wii had tons of systems for it to sell to. But there was a thought that Zelda games weren't selling very well because it started to get like after that you got Twilight Princess did really good, but then I think Skyward Sword did really bad. Like it's not that high on this list at all. Like it's because it goes like Ocarina of Time is after that, the Legend of Zelda the original, then Ocarina of Time 3D. So that sold more as a remake than Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword is 13 on this list.
Damn, man.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting to bring it up.
In the main series, and it's 13 out of 19, and it's like technically a modern Zelda game.
Yeah,
right?
and a remake and the original of the game beats it. It's like I just it's
you gotta at least crazy. Try to beat the original game. Like that's the where is the original game on the list?
Ocarina?
No, the Legend of Zelda, 1986, which
there wasn't a remake for that. That the Legend of Zelda original.
No. Where is it on the list? Where is the Legend of Zelda?
Number 4.
Number 4. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 3?
Ocarina
of Time was 3.
Twilight Princess.
2 was Twilight Princess, and Breath of the Wild is number 1.
And number 5 was Ocarina of Time, the 3DS version. So it's like, yeah. So I just thought I was just actually surprised and like the sales. Like I mean, like I'm actually kind of blown away that Skyward Sword was that low, or even Majora's Mask was that low, because Majora's Mask is right below Skyward Sword.
But
I
know a lot of people like Majora's Mask. I'm gonna come right out and say it. I think it sucks. I'm sure the gameplay is great, and people have stuck with it, but it looks terrible. It's really just hard to look at.
Did you have the expansion pack?
I feel like I stepped on a toe.
Well, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to skip you. Majora's Mask is my honorable mention.
All right, you
so
go
take
there,
that.
girlfriend.
You take that. You take it right now. Oh my god, I can't believe you just said you don't like it. You're about to say your honorable mention. It's more fun than Ocarina of Time.
Okay, all right. That I can see.
Don't get me wrong. I've had this argument with people for so many years. Like when Ocarina of Time came out, everyone complained that, he's not an adult. He's not cool. He's not he didn't grow. He's not he's just a kid still. It's like I want to be adult Link because everyone liked that moment when you become adult Link. I'm like, yeah, that was pretty awesome. I get it, but I honestly just love the unique gameplay. It broke the formula. It was very different. The time mechanic of that game is phenomenal. I think the game actually doesn't look that bad. I mean, I don't know. I haven't. Now it probably doesn't. But you did need the little expansion pack to make it do the right things too. I've never seen it without it, because it did say it was not required, but it did enhance the game. Because they had a lot more, I guess, enemies going on at once. I remember reading articles on it when it came out, and the side quests, because that's to me Ocarina of Time that I love was the side quests, doing this thing to get this thing to get this heart. They had a side quest chart, with a schedule. This guy is here at this time, this guy's here, this guy. Honestly, all that stuff was really different and cool, and the fact that they somehow they could have just made another sequel and just follow the same formula and people would have been happy. But they nope, we're going to do something crazy and have this freaky looking moon crashing into the planet. And I give them credit, and I had such a blast going through the different areas, and yeah, there was only 4 dungeons, but like you had to like understand those dungeons because you had to like beat them again to go then beat. There was ways of getting around it. Like you had to like go beat the bosses again. Like you'd have to do the dungeon
Sure.
again. But like it was hard. It was challenging, and I just like not fighting Ganon for a change. Like I just thought that was actually really cool. Is that a good enough reasoning?
It, the things like a couple of things you listed are the things that I actually do like about the game. I do like the time mechanic because yeah, it was different, and I do love that it's like a doomsday clock, and then at the end the moon crashes into the terminus, whatever.
It's a
What is
freaky
it?
moon.
What did they call the clock town?
It
Whatever.
was Clock Town, but I think it was like I think the area. It's not Hyrule. It's like Titania or something. I have to look it up. Let me check
Is
my
it Termina?
Let me check my encyclopedia.
It's Termina. But they yeah, like the time thing was cool, and of course the first time I played it, I just let the time run out because I wanted to see what would happen.
Of course.
But also that yeah, it is Skull Kid. I thought that was interesting, and that it was like somebody getting some malicious power and being corrupted by it, and that becomes like Link's enemy. And it's like, oh well, that's what Link does as a kid. He grows up into an adult by getting into these adventures, fighting the Skull Kid, which I didn't think was such a bad idea. I agree. I liked something different than Ganon. But my quarrel wasn't with it was just like the same kind of stuff from Ocarina of Time, not really improved, but just kind of like mixed together. And it just maybe because when I played it on a 64. I don't know if it had the enhancement abilities or if it was if it had been enhanced.
It's just that adapter that you plug in the front. You know, like that little.
Yeah, I remember that little like box thing that goes in the front, but like it was just ugly as sin. We were trying. I was like watching it. I'm like, I can't even look at this. Like, it's just nothing about this appeals to me. But I understand. I understand. Have you played the? Is there a remake for
there's
this?
a Majora's. There's a 3DS one. That's
yeah.
It. There's no like.
Have you?
I haven't played that.
Are
one.
you? Okay. All right.
No,
I wonder what it looks like. I wonder what they did to fix it up or to make it run.
Well, I mean, it probably just looks better. It probably looks better on a smaller screen for one.
True.
You know, and I mean, I guess I didn't know. I thought it looked good. I didn't remember it being bad looking. Like I thought it looked better. I thought it looked better than Ocarina, but I don't know.
I'll send you some pictures.
Maybe it's the art style that kind of threw you off. I don't know. Like I mean, there's some settings that were kind of a little blurry and weird choices, but like I thought it looked fine. But I guess
also
like
some people that are just like standing there with their mouths open like that.
Well,
like
a
couple of times was like,
well, that was the thing too. They added more people because they did all the side quests. So like they had more people to show. So maybe that's why the impression of it looking more bad because they were trying to kind of bring people on a schedule. Like that was the thing that I loved. Like the mailman would go to the same places every single time. It was like a Groundhog effect.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, Groundhog Day.
Yep.
So it's like you kind of got a rhythm, and you kind of got like the whole world was a puzzle. The whole world was that kind of like rhythm and understanding how it worked. And I just really kind of, I don't know. I loved it. Like it was like my favorite Zelda game for the longest time. And I until other ones have come out or maybe rethinking of some, but like
sure.
I guess I have just more fonder memories of that because it was different, because it was, and I've always been weird like that. Like I'm gonna shout out Zelda 2 because I've always loved Zelda 2. Like, you know, I would never put it up on the top of the list, but like I liked that because it was different. Like I didn't want to always keep doing the same game over and over again. I guess. But.
That's what makes I feel like Zelda work every now and then is when they just change some major mechanic in it, or they play around with it. That's what made Skyward Sword. Why Skyward Sword is like maybe one of the worst Zelda games, is because it was like they did nothing. They did really like nothing new or nothing exciting with it.
And motion controls
you could do, but like even when you're flying, when you finally get to fly on your whatever giant bird. It's just like a sea of white. It's just like you're flying in clouds. There's nothing remarkable about this. Flying through circles. It's like I might as well be playing Star
But here's
Fox.
the thing. I think we sound so negative, but it's like Skyward Sword definitely maybe at the lower tier of Zelda games, but it's still a good game.
Yeah, it's much better than a lot of games. No, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna lie. And the story is not bad. I
yeah,
actually really like this like pre-Triforce,
yep.
um,
And
like
and
Hyrule
Demise.
and the Skyloft.
I think Demise makes that game at the end. At least you get a payoff fighting Demise. Like
Yeah,
he's really cool.
I love his goofy feet though. The big black creature
Oh yeah,
thingy that when he's trying to like walk up the circle, like walk up the spiral.
yeah.
He's got those big like bubbly feet. He's very adorable.
But that's the thing. That's the thing with like Zelda games is that because they don't focus on story so much, going to these other types of Zelda games, it makes it easier. You know, it's like I know like a lot of other games that they have like heavy narratives, and then would say, oh, they're gonna make a mobile game out of that. I'm like, why? Why are they doing that? I want my same kind of template of the story. You know, it's like you get kind of like turned off by it. But with Zelda, if they start making something weird, it's like, all right, sign me up. I want to see what you do, and we'll go for the ride.
And I mean, the same thing goes for Majora's Mask. Like, you can't have Dead Rising without Majora's Mask. You can't have like these games where you're, trying to figure out like how to get everything done within a time frame. And you're kind of trying to beat the clock like that. And there's like this end point that you can go back and fix, but you can like go back in time to try and fix it or try to
I guess
save somebody or
one thing about Majora's Mask 2 was the transformation scenes were horrifying.
Yes. It looks painful, right? When you turn into a Zora, it's like, like you're screaming.
And they show it every single time. It's like,
yep, you can't skip it. Oh my god! It was like a real kick in the nuts though, because it's like, okay, first you're Kid Link. It's like, okay, fine, I can deal with being Kid Link. Then you make me a Deku scrub. Like, what the hell? What the hell? And then they do it again in Twilight Princess. So it's like, finally, I get to be adult Link, 3D. Why the fuck am I a wolf? I don't want to be a wolf.
Yeah, Midna was cool though.
She's just like, no, she wasn't cool. I mean, she was cool later, but like she's like the fairies in Majora's Mask.
Oh yeah,
they're just dicks to Link.
Yeah, seriously.
He's like, you're not helpful at all. Why are you even following me?
Well, Paul, since I've interrupted your favorite or honorable mention, excuse me, I had to defend my Majora's Mask. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, and I think you did so successfully. I don't really have much hate for it. I just didn't have a great experience with it, but I'm glad that you did, and I'm glad I got to hear it. What is your honorable? Here's one that we will not disagree on, and that's the original Legend of Zelda from 1986.
Of course,
you knew this was going to be up here, but I mean, there's something about that game. It's like you can tell a lot about a person by how they play that game. There's no one way to play it. It makes every time you replay it, though, every time I like start it, it's like a little sense of joy, just about every time, because I'm like, ooh, how am I going to do it this time? And like for the NES, like I love the color scheme, the different areas. You've got the nice green area he starts in, and then like autumn over by where the moblins are, and then the sandy area with the pea hats and the levers. That was the name I had to look up. The levers. Those little spinny things that go under the
I don't know any of the names of these monsters, honestly. I'm bad at that.
You don't know the pea hats? Those were my favorite names.
They're called pea hats?
They're called pea hats. PEA, like a green pea. Hats. Pea hats. They're the spinning flower things that you can only kill when they stand still. You remember those?
Yep.
And then you got the cemetery with the Lionels and the ghosts. I don't know. They're not called ghosts. They're called something else like Garys or something. I don't know.
Garys?
But really, it's something weird. Like bats aren't called bats. They're called keys. I especially like the things you find in caves, Justin. Yes. We were talking about caves.
Yes.
Sometimes you find an old woman that,
Sometimes a cave is under a grave or under a barrel.
Yeah, and that's where the magic sword is you have to literally grave rob to get it. You have to push aside a gravestone and walk down into someone's mausoleum. And someone's waiting for you down there, which is equally weird. But sometimes you just find an old woman who won't say a word to you until you give her a piece of paper, and then she sells you medicine. Sometimes you blow up the side of a wall, and there's $40 in there. It's a great game. Like, what's not to like? Do you remember?
I'll be honest. Like, when that was like the game that like I think a lot of people got is that when we because we were NES kids, so like
Mhm.
people that didn't grow up with NES, I don't think could get the experience that we had probably with that game. Like I remember like I didn't have that game initially. I think my cousin had it. Like, and that was like back to when we talk about NES games. It's like you kind of talk with your cousin or your friend of like, oh, you do go to that wall there, and like you start learning every single secret, not on your own, by just like conversation. Like, and like
Sure,
back then, it
sure.
wasn't really ever a spoiler. It's like you didn't like. It's like you almost like, oh, I learned that from my friend. I got to tell my other friend, and it became like a this thing that you kind of like passed along, and that I think
Yeah.
you don't get that a lot with games anymore. Like I don't think I'll ever experience that at least as close as I did with that game because it's
I'm
like
sure some.
oh go ahead.
No, I would just say like I'm sure some people have like a similar experience, but you it's like these days you have to go kind of out of your way to not be spoiled because anytime you like for all of these games, Zelda Dungeon.net has got a complete walkthrough of every facet of every Zelda game and
Hmm.
where all the heart pieces are and where all the all the hidden whatevers you got to find are. And it's like that takes it kind of takes the fun out of it, but then at the same time when you were like looking for something or you needed an extra heart or you're looking for like that last heart in the original Legend of Zelda and someone tells you like, oh well, there's a heart container over here, like could you try that, and you're like, oh, I didn't bomb that wall,
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
just like can't wait to get home so that you could bomb that wall to find the heart container
Like
or find
I
the thing you're
remember
missing.
like trying to get through the Lost Forest or the Lost Woods in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I don't think I even knew how to do it. Just my cousin just told me. He's like, "Oh, it's left, right, up, right now." I'm like, "That's it? Oh yeah." He didn't even tell me where he got it from. Like I was just like, "Oh, that's how you do it." Okay, I guess he trial and errored it. Like
Yeah, that's. I mean,
that,
that's what I did. I remember watching my brother doing it and trying to keep track, and he wouldn't tell me which way he was going. He's like, "No, you're gonna
but
have to figure it out
I
yourself,"
think they
because
there's
he did the trial and error.
but
So he forced it upon me.
there is somebody that tells you. There's a person in the game that tells you how to do it.
Oh,
Like you should think there's a lady that
let's see.
just says like up, left, right, and she just says a bunch of like directions. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
maybe. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that there's a they give you the information somewhere else. I think it's even like in a random dungeon. It's like you used to go to a room and some lady just says a bunch of things.
They would do that every now and then. You'd go in the dungeon. You'd bomb like the wall. You'd go into a room. The floor would be all black, and there's the old man again, and he would say like, in the eastmost palace is the key. You're like, what?
Like
What? Like, but
check
but I'm
the
here now. Like, what?
check the lake up north. That's like it's like
Yes,
you
yes.
know it's
And
like
if you just happen to get angry with this old guy and just so happen to swipe a sword at him,
oh
he
yeah that's
starts
right
attacking you with
yeah
fireballs
oh
from
yeah
his fires.
he's more powerful than Ganon.
Really, you
He's
can't kill him. He disappears at will. He shows up at random places. He's really the one to watch in these
It's
games. But
Sargon. That's who he is.
my you have to open the door though. He never opens the door for you.
you,
Um,
you never said please.
that's all.
Sorry. The Hero
My favorite. No,
reference.
no, I was calling him an asshole, not you. You're a good Zargon, Justin. You're a solid Zargon. Um, my favorite part of that game, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about this because I've been talking about it all day. After you beat Ganon, pretty satisfying fight. You got to do the silver arrows and slash at him when he's stable or brown or whatever. He dies, and there's the cool upside down Triforce in his ashes. You go through the door, and there's still one more obstacle. You get to the princess. Zelda's there, but she's surrounded by fire that actually hurts you. And for the only time in the game, you have to use your sword to put out fires. It's the
I don't
only time you
remember
do
that. I
that.
don't remember that.
It's such a weird, like, last obstacle. And I always wondered if somebody died right there at Zelda's feet. Like, if somebody was like, what am I supposed to do? And they
like,
only had, like,
and
half a heart
then you
and they
have to
die
fight.
right
Then you
there.
have to fight Ganon again. Is that probably what happens?
Yes, and Zelda's standing there like, oh, disappointing. I hope another Link will come. Like, I seriously wonder just what would happen. You make it all that way and you die because she's surrounded by fire and you can't get through it. But, yeah.
Good game.
That's all I got to say about that. It's a great game.
It is a great game. It's a great
Love
game.
picking it up every now and then. Just
I always will start it again, but I don't think I get past like the third dungeon. I just stop by that point.
I think I'm on to the 7th one on the Switch right now, but I haven't picked it up in a long time. I was playing it like
did you ever play the
times a week.
on the Switch? They had the SP version where you can just like go into the game like at max level, where you have all your items and stuff.
I've never done it for Legend of Zelda. I've seen those, and I've done it for like what the hell is that really hard game? Maybe Double Dragon or Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
I was like, I just need to see what the end looks like. Because I've never gotten that far. But no, I've never done it for Zelda. I might check that out. See, get all that.
Yeah, like
stuff.
when you load the game up, you're in like the white cloak and all that stuff.
You got the blue ring already.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It kind of
You
feels
can buy
cheap.
that ring. It's $250. 250 rupees.
They call them rupees. They didn't call them rupees in that game, did they?
They did. They
did
call them rupees. Yep.
It'd be funny to have a dollar symbol next to it. Like, what?
So Justin, why don't you tell me then? What is your next honorable mention? We got your Majora's Mask. Got that out of your system?
It's just Majora's Mask again. I'm just gonna do it again.
I'm just gonna keep talking about
it. This is where it gets tough because I we play our little game here.
I was gonna say I put you in check here now.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I know what your favorite is. I feel like I do, but I don't know what your second honorable mention is. That's the tough one.
It's Link's crossbow training. I just like to shout that out.
That was my favorite too. So we can just be done with our episode now.
Yep.
So I've been like this. I've been back and forth on what my favorite is, and I don't really know the answer. It's so hard to pick a favorite Zelda game. Just because of our game, I'm going with this one next because I know it's not your answer for your favorite.
Okay.
But this was considered this so close to my favorite that it could have been my favorite as well.
All right.
Link's Awakening remake.
All right. I knew that I didn't think you would leave it down in the shout-outs, and you've been playing it a lot recently.
I mean, I love the original. Like, I mean, the original too is phenomenal, but like, I don't think it would ever hit like top tier to me. Like for Zelda games, like it was great, but it was on the Game Boy. You know, it's like it was. My memory of it was, I had a great experience. I got everything in it. It was a great game. Like I remember, because I had the Game Boy Color, so I got the DX version. So it was in the color version of it. So like I was like cool playing a portable, whatever you want to call that, 3-color game. I mean, it didn't look that bad, but it had like cutscenes like on the Game Boy. That was like really cool, like seeing like Link go through the ocean. And then the remake though, like I kind of wish I just played it all the way through because I mean I think I've talked about that with you. Like I started it when it came out last year. That was a game that was so super stoked and hyped about like the whole year of 2019, not 2020. And I was like, that's the game I'm gonna get this year. I'm gonna do that one. And I got it like day one, and I got through a lot of it. And then my kids are watching. They thought it was a great game to watch. But then that's the thing. They started getting mad at me when I didn't play it with them. So I stopped playing it at night, and then I just kind of found other games to play, and then I just sort of like kind of lost interest going back to it because it just felt like I couldn't play it. So I was like, I kind of got to maybe like the 5th dungeon in the remake. And I just think the game is gorgeous. The art style is phenomenal. It almost rekindles the magic. It's not like it's almost like a carbon copy of the original, but it's so new and fresh and looks different that you feel like you're playing a completely different game, even though I remembered some of it. It's like oh, I kind of remember this level, but it looks so drastically different. The controls are better, and so it just feels more fun. It's not even. It means maybe a little easier because of the controls. But like that's okay. Like I feel like when you're playing a remake, you don't want to like deal with the horrible like hardness of the original playthrough. You're like, I just want to relive this. Like I don't want to like deal with all the trials and tribulations. It's
I'm sure that people developing the game don't want people to say like, God, this is hard to control.
Yeah.
So if they could fix something in a remake, it'd probably be how you control it.
Well, I mean, the big thing they fixed is that you got to think the Game Boy only had an A and a B, so like
Yep.
you had to swap out your sword. That's how like crazy it was.
I remember that.
I
It was
hated
annoying.
that. Like I did like I just kind of accepted it. It's like, oh well, that's just part of the puzzle. Sure. I don't mean they designed it in a way that you didn't always need your sword. So like it was kind of okay, but like it was annoying kind of swapping it in and out. But at least here they kind of put some of the items, like even your shield too, was on one of those A B buttons because
That's right. That was the first time. That was the first game where your shield was actively a button, right? Like where you would
yeah,
bring it up.
yeah, exactly. So like you can take off your shield if you needed to, so forth like that. So like, but the remake like kind of helps like get rid of all that stuff. I think they added some other things that kind of help like get through the game a little easier too. They and I like how they even incorporate because the DX version of Game Boy Color game added another dungeon. It was like the color dungeon versus the original. So they even had that in the remake too. So I thought that was cool. So like, but I finally fast forward to like this year when I finally finished it. I'm just like going through the end. It's like, oh, this is perfect. This is like I don't remember any of this ending. I was like I don't remember any of this stuff. And I feel to beat the final boss, and I'm like, I remember like after beating the game, like I look back at all the screenshots of the original game, like I have no memory of this ending. I beat the game, but like it didn't stick with me. Now it does. Like the windfish seeing it, like it brought a tear to my eye. It was like nostalgic tear. Like I don't know what it is about that game. Again, I think it was this. I like those top down games of Zelda, like they're like a Legend of Zelda, but like
Mhm.
that one was like again different. You weren't fighting Zelda. You weren't fighting. I guess I like that. That's what I like. Is different things. You weren't fighting Ganon. You had a different cast of characters. It was kind of different and weird. You had talking animals. You had random Mario characters show up in the game because they would just reuse sprites. Like you had side scrolling
Yep.
parts where you jump on Goombas, and and I just thought, and there was like a Chomp Chomp in the town. Like I just thought it all just was like kind of cool little moments that you'd see, and they just recaptured that so much in the remake that that game just has to be up there as one of my tops. So
Sure. Sure, man.
highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
It's and you get the feather. That's all I can say.
That's good. I mean, yeah, that's the two most remarkable things from Zelda 2 and from this game was jumping. Like crazy. Never thought you could do that. Um, it seemed so weird, especially in that top-down perspective, but it works. Um,
hmm
I I remember a good deal of frustration with that game when I played it on a regular old Game Boy console, which is, I guess, what you would call the Game Boy. It is a handheld console, but you had the Game Boy Color, which was thinner, right?
hmm
It was smaller and it was
The
colorful.
pocket.
Did you have the Game Boy printer?
No, I did have the printer.
No camera and printer for
No,
your.
no printer. I actually didn't have a lot of Game Boy games, to be honest. I bought
Yeah,
the color.
I had a few.
I had the Game Boy Color. I got it specifically for Pokemon because everyone was obsessed with it. And then I think I got Zelda with it too because I knew that was I love Zelda. So and maybe own a few other games. I don't even remember the other ones I owned.
I can't tell you how weird it was that I felt like I was at the beginning of a trend in our country when Pokemon hit, and I was like, I have a Game Boy, I'm gonna get Pokemon. And I'm like, which one do I get, blue or red? Blue or red? And I settled on blue, and I carried a Squirtle all the way to Blastoise. It was my I think I still have that game, and I still have the Game Boy. My Game Boy still works. It's
Nice.
just needs a fresh set of batteries, but it's
Next
been through
season,
a lot.
favorite Pokemon.
Ooh, favorite Game Boy game. Favorite Pokemon. All right, Justin. I'm going to tell you what my next honorable mention is. I'm a little worried. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to blurt it, and we'll see what happens. It involves a certain thing called the Wind Waker.
Okay.
All right. Is this something better served talking about maybe in the next segment?
Yeah.
we've talked a lot here. I mean, we've talked a lot. So why don't we take a little break? We'll share a couple more games. We'll share our favorites when we come back.
Sounds good.
And we're back. All right, Justin. We kind of teased this right before the break. What's your favorite Zelda game? You say it.
I thought this was your favorite. Honestly, I really did. But I guess you know what?
It's right up there, though.
I know.
Right
like, you know, it was your favorite. It was your favorite. I forgot.
Don't make me feel bad.
I forgot there was a game that came out a couple years ago. Like I think Zelda, and I think nostalgia a little bit, and I forgot. But anyways. Yeah. No, my favorite
commercial, man.
My favorite Zelda game is Wind Waker.
Yeah.
And not to discredit, I know what your answer is going to be, but like my favorite Zelda game is definitely Wind Waker. It's just fun. Like that's like the best. I can't say anything else about it, but it's silly, it's fun, it's colorful. I liked that about
Beautiful.
It. Yeah. Like you don't need to always be in caves and dark dungeons. You know, it's like you could have like sort of sense of humor. It's about a story of a kid, technically, in most of these things. Like it's about a little kid, and the story is actually not bad. I mean, he goes on an adventure for different reasons in this one. It's not like, hey, young kid, go save Zelda. It's like, no, like your sister gets kidnapped, go save her, and then he realizes he has to do the right thing. You know,
and
it's
that like brings him into a bigger world. He's forced to leave the island and actually become a hero. It's a good story. Anybody would say it was a bad story.
No, I'm not saying it's bad. I just think it was the first time in a Zelda game that you really kind of got like this, like, I guess
Link backstory.
Yeah, like I mean, it wasn't like this guy, the kid that's like, oh, I'm gonna be a hero because I'm told to. Like even Ocarina's backstory is kind of weird. It's like, wake up, Link, go talk to this tree. And yep. Like
you have no family or relatives. You live in a tree. Now go talk to the other tree.
But like it's always just so like it's kind of like generically put together. It's like he's a destined hero and he's the hero of time and he's the hero of the Master Sword. He's the only one that could wield it. He's like the prophecy or whatever. But like yep. Like Wind Waker just kind of changes that up a little bit. Like he's still like the prophecy, but like he needs something else to bring him out there to fulfill it. You know, it's like I just like that.
It was the first Zelda game that would do that. You're absolutely right. The idea of like how Link becomes Link. It was the first time where like you find out that you'll get like a Link and a Zelda will appear to fight Ganon because Ganon will always reappear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I will give credit to Skyward Sword, is that they did visualize like demise and the whole thing as like this thing that you can't kill. You can just stop it, but you can't kill it. You can't eliminate it. It'll always be there, but you can at least stop it for now. And it's like, well, it'll be another generation's problem. And this just happens to be this generation's, version of Link and
I love
Tetra,
like,
I mean Zelda.
Honestly, like Tetra, yes. But like I like that making Zelda not the normal Zelda, even though she dresses like her later. But like she's still a different Zelda than you're used to. She's a pirate. I mean, like there's some comedic humor to it. Like Link's like kind of a little bit different too. Like he's not like the yes man. Like he's like, I don't really want to do this. He kind of has like some attitude to it. You know, it's like I think of the scenes where he's like he'll do it, but like he's in the barrel, like they're gonna like parachute him into the like Ganon's fortress.
Yeah,
and he just has this like
to shoot him at.
His expressions really kind of show him off. Like even like he's kind of lazy when you first meet him too. He's like in this like shabby outfit. Like I always remember when I first played that game, I'm like, this is really funny. Like I actually really appreciated like the humor, like almost like making it a parody of itself. Like when he first gets like clothes from his grandma and he's like standing there holding it up like this. Like and he's just like looks around like
the camera shifts like to another person's perspective. They're like, okay, like what are you doing? He's like, he just stops.
I don't know why. I guess like I kind of associate Nintendo like those kind of games to be fun, and not take
Mhm.
itself too seriously. Though I like the serious tones and stuff of like Ocarina of Time, but I just it wasn't just that though that really got me. It's like the combat of that game really sold me because it's fun. Like it has these like musical tones to it, like ding 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 ding. Like when you're hitting somebody, it's like you're doing like the parries and you're rolling around, got like the moblins, and like it's like the stealthiness of it. Like I just this their their like reactions to things and their expressions when you hit them. It's very animated, which obviously I know that's the point, but like they do it, it does it well. It's not like cheesy or bad animation. There was a lot of bad cell shading back in
Oh, sure.
in that era, you know.
But leave it to Nintendo and specifically the people behind Zelda to take that animation style and really make it awesome. Like to really make it an excellent visual and kind of like tactile. Like everything about like how you interact with the world is cool and interesting and fun to look at.
Hmm.
Um, like I feel like cell shading. Like I remember people complaining so much. Twilight Princess was dark and dreary,
Yep.
and like after a while, there's only so much you can take of games like that. If they didn't do a game like Wind Waker, then you wouldn't have something like what's it like A Link Between Worlds or even some of the stuff from Breath of the Wild. Like
A
you
lot of
can't
a
have
lot of the
that kind of
DS
like fun element.
a lot of the DS
And
games use the art style from Zelda. Like there's the Phantom
yep,
Hourglass. I didn't play a lot of those. Like I know there's like some Spirit Tracks, and we
I
didn't
wanted
talk about those at all. But like
I wanted to shout out Minish Cap because I did play that on a GBA emulator. I played through that game.
oh
It was good. I liked it. It's actually Mario Odyssey before Mario Odyssey because your hat
yes,
talks to you. He's just
um,
the hat.
it's,
You can't throw him on
it's like a
anybody.
duck
But
or anything, like a duck cat thing or something. I don't know.
yeah, it's like kind of a
I do
talking
want to shout
little
out some
duck thing.
handhelds. I guess if we're talking about Oracle Seasons and Oracle Ages, I loved. I think I've
Yes.
only beaten Seasons. I started Ages and I played that on my 3DS because I got it through the eShop.
Hmm.
But those are fun games. Those are really fun games. Like I
I
mean,
never played the Hourglass one, Phantom Hourglass, or
yeah, I didn't
Spirit
either.
Tracks.
Yeah, I didn't play
I
those.
think they're equally as fun, but like they're like the same kind of Four Swords adventure style type of game. But yeah, dude, cell shading is the right choice for this, especially like bringing like this kind of like endless ocean to life. Like I love the way that the waves look. I love the pirates. I love the giant bird even, and I love that you're small in this world that's like
Yeah,
huge and dangerous. That's
yeah.
what makes Zelda Zelda is like it's not easy to traverse this world.
I
You are a
thought
kid.
I thought it was funny though because it's like everyone complained about Majora because Majora's Mask was the game before this one, and
No,
I thought it was funny that everyone complained that you were an adult Link and like we're gonna make this even more kiddie. You're
mm,
gonna make him more of a kid. It's
yep,
like I'm like wow really after all, and I think that was the trailer that you got was that one that you mentioned earlier in the show. Like you got the trailer for the GameCube, and I think that was the GameCube. I can't remember.
they were showing off like the GameCube skills, right? It was
Yeah,
like a
yeah. It was
developer's
just
trailer.
yeah, it was just like a tech demo,
Yep,
and I try to remember if that was for the GameCube or for the Wii, but I think it was the GameCube.
it was for the GameCube because then Wind Waker was the game that came out, and everybody's reaction was this like
Yeah, yeah.
they were
Now
just so pissed
the
getting
the
teased, and then
the
Twilight Princess came after, and people were like, "This is exactly what we wanted. This is the best Zelda game," and it's like, it's not.
it
It's just
isn't.
not.
It's not. I
It's
mean,
not. It's not. It's not very fun.
I liked it. Like when it came out, I mean I liked it. Like I mean, like when it
Of
came out,
course,
I
as
played
you're
it.
playing through it,
Like
you didn't like
I
abandon it
it's not
halfway
like oh
through.
this sucks. I want to stop playing. It's like well I want to
Yeah,
finish it up, and
of
I thought
course.
there was moments of it that was cool. I liked the I didn't mind being a wolf that much. I thought like Midna was cool, and the style of the game was different. Like I liked the fact that you beat Ganon while you're on a horse. I thought that was fun.
That
Like
is interesting.
it's like there were some cool moments to it that I think a lot of like I guess that maybe there were like fan servicey things, but like I don't remember any of the temples. I don't remember any of the weapons. I don't remember anything aside from just a few things as a wolf in Midna. Like I don't like it didn't like stand out to me. Like it
I
like
don't. Yeah, you're when you like no temples. I don't remember like what the inside or the outside of these temples looked like. I don't remember anything of note in the world itself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of it we were forced to just kind of like run through. When you're the wolf trying to collect the grapes of light or
Yeah,
whatever
I
the
don't
hell
know. I
they
don't
are,
remember.
like you're just like get me through this part
Yep.
so I can get back to being regular Link. Whereas in Wind
And
Waker,
again, it's so dark you can't see anything. So it's like,
right? Hey, fucking dark games, man. And like in Wind Waker, it's just like, oh, here's an island. I'm just gonna stop here. I'll see what I
well,
find. I
it's
found some money.
yep.
Found a heart piece.
Yeah, I mean,
That sense of adventure.
it's not like Wind Waker is perfect. I mean, there were moments that you were just on the boat for long periods of time. You're like, okay,
Yes. Fetch
I
quests is
really
like
need to find that
writ large.
teleport thing. Give me the teleport thing. Like that's one thing that they
Uh,
did in the remake. They did a remaster for the Wii U, which is beautiful, by the way. Like the Wii
mhm.
U version of that
The
game,
HD, yeah,
they
it's
let it so
awesome.
you get the teleport thing a lot sooner in the game.
That is cool.
Yeah, so
That's
like
smart.
um
And you
because
can take selfies with the camera in the remaster.
they had the camera in the other one too.
No, but you couldn't take selfies. In this one, you could take
Oh
selfies and make
yes,
Link's mouth move, so you can be
yeah, that's right.
like
That's right.
with Ganon behind
Yeah,
you, like.
I did do that. I did do that.
When am I going to see Ganon
Yeah,
again?
I remember me
Take
and
a
my
picture.
friend that gave me the Zelda book. I remember like I wasn't planning on getting Wind Waker remaster. I'm like I'm not gonna get it. It's like I'm not gonna spend the extra money. But then like I got like an email from Nintendo. It's like you because you're a rewards member, you can buy it 3 days early. I'm like digitally. I'm like okay, Nintendo, I will buy
You
it.
got well played, Nintendo.
and then
You got me
and
there.
then I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I did the same. Yeah, I got the same email. I did the same thing."
Nice.
And I remember like I love playing that replaying that game though because it's like a storybook. So it's like there's a lot of words and text. And I remember like when my daughter was like 3 years old, I would play that game for her and like read her a book. It's like
Mhm.
we're gonna play the game. I'm gonna read you a story. And she loved it. She's like wanted to save the. She was like, when are we gonna save the
Oh,
sister? You fight the little dragon in the beginning. She thought that was cool. Like because you go to the Rito. I think that's their first appearance is, in this game. I can't remember any
yes.
other.
As like a separate race, yeah, and not because I think the name Rito Village is in the Link's Adventure in Zelda 2, but they're
Maybe.
just people. They're just people, and in this one they're like a different race. They're bird people.
But
But yeah,
anyways, that's my
that's
favorite
awesome.
is Wind Waker. It's I just think it's like it's the essence of why I like Zelda. Getting really cool weapons, going through the dungeons. It's fun. And it's just that you do get that sense of like adventure and wonder because you're going in like that's the difference of this one. You're going on a boat versus like the original Legend of Zelda. But
Sure, sure.
so Paul,
And it. I think you know what my favorite is, Justin. Believe me, it's hard to not say Wind Waker because I love that game so much, and I love the music in that, and the way that you control the wind through song, and
yep,
all that's great. Um, I really I think though that Breath of the Wild has done what I think a lot of people were surprised that they could make like a game like this that's just so immersive. It's just so fun. It's just so replayable. Like I'm still playing it, man. I can't. I beat Ganon like I feel like a couple months ago, and I just can't stop. I can't
yeah,
stop playing it. I I could talk for hours, obviously, about it, but I'm just going to talk about a couple moments
okay.
that really like made it my favorite game,
Should we tell people now
favorite
or
Zelda game.
after you're done talking?
What's that?
Well, we're gonna talk for a few hours on this, aren't we?
Oh, that's true. Because our bonus episode for this month is going to be on just Breath of the Wild. We're going to take a deep dive into Breath of the Wild itself and really tease out what we really like about it and what's going really just there's so much to talk about it. We decided it needed its own bonus episode. Um,
I
but
wasn't sure if it was gonna be your favorite going into this. Like as we got closer to this episode, I wasn't. I thought about it, then I forgot mid episode for some weird reason. I don't know why. But you've like adored and you just wanted to talk. I think you wanted to talk about this game like 3 months ago, and you've been just like, I'm gonna wait till I'm done going through it. And I've been trying to get you to play this game forever. You're actually playing on my copy of the game, I think, still, right?
think so. I've got my other copy here. It didn't come in time. You got me a copy faster than I could get it.
Like what 4 days late, 4 days sooner.
Yep, yep. those were critical 4 days though. I Okay, so the first moment that really like just stood out to me, I don't even remember where the location is, but I'm sure once I describe it, people who played the game will know. Um, I was climbing. It was cold, it was icy, snowy, very frigid. I was climbing up. You know how
You
you
do a
get
lot of that in that
when you're
game.
playing the game, like you just like I'm gonna climb that.
Yeah.
You just look at it, and you're like I'm gonna get over that. I want to see what's on the top of this mountain chain or wherever. And all of a sudden, music changes. I get to the top, and then like the game stops, and it turns over to a cinematic. After quite a bit of climbing and jockeying to get up there and eating food to replenish my stamina, finally get there, get this little cutscene of this white dragon, white and blue dragon, floating by,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the first time I had seen a dragon in the game, and just it was like I literally just like stopped everything and like it took my breath away for a moment.
It does.
And the music in that is very like I don't know how to say it. It sounds like very traditional, very like I don't know, like it sounds like old Japanese music. Like
Yeah.
from like an old from like a Kurosawa film or something. Like when you're seeing like a temple or some, it's like high strings playing, and you're just kind of like watching this beautiful thing as it floats by. And then it was the mission to free it of the corruption, whatever, like the Ganon's corruption that was on it. And it was just like so fulfilling. And then like you take a scale from it, and it was like it changed me. Like as like I'm playing this game as Link, I was like that experience changed who I am and like how I'm gonna play this game. Like I am gonna just keep looking for stuff
Yep.
because that just happened. It just happened out of the blue. Like I wasn't looking for a dragon. I didn't even know there were dragons in the game, and then
Yeah.
one flew across the screen, and I was in like actual awe. And anytime a game can do that, that I feel like it's special.
Yeah, no,
And
I remember my moments of that game. I mean, mine's a little bit farther in the past. I mean, I got that game the year it came out, and I didn't even get it. I got it actually when it came out, but I didn't even own a Switch. I played it on the Wii U, and because I was holding off on getting a Switch, and I kind of wish I got it for the Switch, which I did, but I just didn't play it on the Switch. But my first moment of seeing the dragon was very similar. I didn't get the cinematic like you did, but I was like, I'll just go explore this to the left after you beat the training mission. It was relatively early on. I was like, I'll go west instead of east.
mhm.
And I think I started climbing mountains, just getting lost.
Yep.
And I was just like, all of a sudden it started raining. And that's the first time I learned that having metal with
Oh,
electricity is not good. And next thing I know, I'm like getting attacked by lightning. I'm falling off the cliff. I'm like, to stand up, and I just see this bright green electric dragon in the dark,
yep.
dark sky.
Oh
And I'm just like, what in
man.
the heck is that thing? Why is that in this game? And I'm losing my voice, by the way. I lost my voice over the holiday weekend.
Oh,
but but yeah, like I just like wow, I was just so amazed in the things I was finding, and um I just didn't get a chance to explore the game as much as maybe some people because I was having my daughter watch me play it. So I was like kind of part of me like trying to finish the story, I guess, for her. So my experience of
yeah.
the game was it didn't diminish it. Like I think every time I play a game with my daughter, and I get to the end of a game, there's this like sense of like it's like watching like your favorite movie with your child or favorite thing with your kid or just like that nostalgic moment where like I'm sharing this thing that I love with my child, and it's like it kind of like I don't know why I get so emotional doing it. Like when I beat Ganon at the end of the game, I was just like I kind of choked up again with that, and just because she was watching it with me, that was the only reason why. And like that was my moment with it, but like it's hard for me to like. I love that game. I feel like the Wii U diminished my experience a little bit with it though, because I I didn't like holding a Wii U controller, like the gamepad thing. Like it's
Yeah.
not the most comfortable. Though it was cool to be able to see your inventory while you're playing, and like
Sure.
when you did the
Sure.
motion control stuff for the some of the shrines, like you could just go like this while you're looking at the screen. Like that was kind of cool. But like I agree with you wholeheartedly though. The game is phenomenal. The experience is great. The voice acting is great. I want to give credit to like
Yes.
just the voice acting and storytelling, which is not a lot, but like it's just enough and it's perfect when it's there.
It's like it feels like the world is empty and full of things all at the same time, right? And
Yeah,
like they're like the story is kind of similar. That there's a lot going on, but a lot of it happened 100 years ago, and you're
yeah,
just really like waking up to finish the job, and you're like just trying to learn about what happened and what you need to do, and like what you need in order to succeed. But nothing, like your very first objective in that game is destroy Ganon, and that doesn't change. That's always on your objective screen. It's like that's the top thing. But there's like a whole lot of what we love, and those are side quests. And I just love how the quests in this there are just so many. Like you can get lost, and there's thankfully there is a pretty like well organized way to like look through them, and then like also go back to the person that initiated the quest so you can kind of get an idea, like get your bearings and do it if you want, or you don't have to do it. And you can do what I think most people like to do, or a lot of people like to do. I don't know. I certainly like to do it. Just wander around this immense world that you have like a huge draw distance on. Like you have like you can see across like from the tops of a mountain. Like you can see so far and just be like, I'm going over there. And here I go, and that's it. And just explore what's over there. And there were other moments like the dragon where I just came across something. Like the first time I came across a labyrinth, um, that wasn't necessarily accidental. I just wanted to see like what it was like, and I was honestly like scared of it. Like me playing the game, I'm like, ooh, this is kind of creepy.
oh, like you talking
This
about the
huge
hallways?
maze.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
maze.
the huge mazes. Yeah, these labyrinths that are there's like
Mhm.
four, I think, three or four.
The thing that scared me
Very
the most in that game though is those four-legged. Oh, what are they
the
called?
Lionels. The
Is that
Lionels.
they are?
Yeah,
And aren't those in the original
they're tough.
though? Like, aren't those like a
They
version
are.
of that?
They live in the cemetery. They're the red and blue ones that shoot swords at you. Look
Yeah,
like centaurs.
yeah. So like, I remember when I first saw that, I struggled against it. Like, I was just like, I'm not doing this. I ran away.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in that game I just didn't get a chance to do. I really just want to replay it one of these days. I've always tried to. I just never finish it. Get too stuck, too focused on other things or new things or whatever. But it's an amazing game.
There is so much. The only other thing I'll say that was really good is building a Terrytown. Actually, like seeing a town.
Oh yeah, that
like
was cool.
Starting a town and like helping to bring it all the way till the guy who helped start it gets married to Gerudo lady, and I think you have to get like the last quest you have to do is like get the priest, get like the Zora high priest or whatever to come and be the officiator like for the wedding. But yeah, that took a while, but it was fun. It was fun to see it through.
I have a lot of stories in that game. I'm trying to not give too many though, because I want to save.
True, true. We can actually. That's. I mean, I could keep gushing about it, but
Yeah, but like
singularly, it's an experience more than a game. Sometimes it just feels like you're part of something bigger than just a video game.
One thing I will say, like just to kind of like add some other like good positive things about it, it's like the beauty of that game is that it's just it's how the music and the sound work with the world and the physics of that game. Like that, like it just sort of like it all kind of like all connects, right? It's like you're like I've seen so many crazy things you can do in that world in that game, just because of the physics alone. But like when I remember like the first time I came out of the cave right in the beginning of the game, and I knocked over a tree, and I'm like, oh, I can knock over the tree, and then I realized I could push the tree down the hole.
Yep.
It's like
roll the log down the.
it's like I don't even know if it's something that like it's something maybe I've seen before in another game. It's not like it's like physics has never been done in the game, but when seeing in the Zelda game and how Nintendo Touch like it just adds a little bit different quality to it because it still knows you're playing a game. It doesn't make it too realistic, but it makes it fit the world.
Yeah.
Right? And it makes it fun. It's like, well, you don't need to make the tree look exactly like the tree. You just need a log that represents the tree. And
if you hit the log again, it turns into a tied bundle of sticks.
It makes sense. I mean,
yeah.
I love how I call it, like, right in the beginning, just to remember the first few moments of the game when you go to the old man, which you find out who that is later.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you go pick up an apple that, I don't know if it just happened to you. Because that's the thing, like, things don't happen if you don't do them to everyone that plays this game. Like, your stories are different than mine. That's one thing Zelda games will never happen. In any other Zelda game, you won't have these types of stories. It's like your journey through Zelda is way different than my journey through Breath of the Wild. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, all the other Zelda games are very formulatic. It's like, oh yeah, you get this thing and do that thing, and you follow this thing to do this thing. It's like, it's all one answer to do the thing that you need to do. Where this one, it's like, well, did you do the thing? No, I didn't do that. It's like, well, did you have this happen? This happened? Like, well, no, I didn't even go down that river. It's like, you go different places. And the one thing when you first, but I just, like, what I say, like, when I walked up to that old man and you go to pick an apple that's like next to the fire, he's like, what do you do? What do you think? You just go around stealing people's things? Like, he gets
take
like
his apple and he's like, here, have it. Jeez, like
he's like pointing out, like, the funniness of Zelda, like how he just goes, or Link in general, like how he just goes around and just takes everyone's stuff.
Think you can take things from people? Like, what gives?
No,
I love that, like, the whole training area was like this, like, the plateau was like this is where you're gonna, like, learn how the game works, and then you'll be, set free to explore. In that moment when you get to leave out to go out for the first time, sail across, it's like, yes, it's gonna be awesome. There's so much more stuff too. I feel like I'm still scratching the surface of it. I've gotten a lot of stuff, found a lot of cool things, and done a lot of cool things.
Probably done more
like
than
just
I
today,
have.
Today I found something called, like, the Forgotten Temple. That's just like this temple that was filled with guardians that are all embedded, and you have to just, like, get through them the best you can. And there's a shrine at the end of it.
Wow,
and it's like, yeah, a lot of that.
So what do you
want? A
want?
lot of that.
Well, I was gonna say, what is it you want to happen with Breath of the Wild 2? Do you want it to be the same or something completely different?
Necessarily want it to be something completely different, but you know what's really cool about this one was that there was this island called Eventide Island. It's another, like, great moment where you lose all your gear and you have to do things for, like, a shrine quest. It would be cool if there were more seafaring things. Maybe he sails to a different land. Maybe.
Well, the trailer made it seem like they're going underground, so that's what they in the trailer.
I didn't see the trailer.
Well, it was just a teaser trailer. It was just like Zelda and Link going underground and finding some dead body. It wasn't much to it, but that's the only thing we got, was them, like, going into into a cave.
Damn these caves! As long as it's not like a murder mystery, I'll be fine with whatever they do. if they do this and, like, it's I don't know if they would do the same world. I bet that it'll get, like, something will happen. It'll take them, like, far into the future or far into the past or something.
Well, I was thinking they would do kind of I mean, we can talk about this more in the other show, but, like, I was just like, it's still the Hyrule that we are used to, but, like, something's changed. It's like the dark version in Link to the Past, which we didn't even shout out in this episode. Like, the dark world and things like that. Like, that kind of when that the world changes, but it's the same. It's the same overmap, but it just now looks completely different, kind of a thing.
Or like Lorule from A Link Between Worlds, right? That's generally the same thing. Okay.
But we'll find out maybe this year. That's the rumor.
Wow. Very exciting.
It was announced 2 years ago, so. But anyways.
Well then, this has been a lot of fun. I love talking about Zelda and Zelda games. I feel like we might have a lot still to talk about for Breath of the Wild, for sure.
For sure. But
I'll get my Breath of the Wild journal that I've been keeping since I started the game.
I'll start making one now, so I have one to compare. I'll just read my encyclopedia. It has nothing to do with Breath of the Wild at all. But my question is, will Breath of the Wild be able to win in our next episode?
Dun, 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 dun. Yes, so next episode is going to be a live episode, Justin, right? We're going to do this. We're going to do it live.
We're going to try.
We're going to try it. We are going to have our tournament of favorites. We've got brackets lined up. Justin and I are going to be kind of pitting season 1 against season 2 to finish our second season of the podcast here. And we're going to find out which favorite is the best favorite. We're going to pit
But we
each
need
other.
you to come join us. So, come see us. It's going to be on our YouTube channel. We're going to be streaming live on our YouTube on, what day is it again? The 25th of January?
Monday, January 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So go to our YouTube channel. Check us out there. Subscribe so you get the notification. Click the little bell thingy so you get a notification about that too.
Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, we're not
Ding that bell.
Ding that bell. But yeah, go over there, and we're going to be going live on YouTube, and we're going to be doing this. We need people in the chat because there's only 2 of us, so we might like the same thing. You need to help us.
Yeah, we might need some tiebreakers.
Yeah, or we might like different things. That's what I mean. That's what I meant.
Oh, we definitely want some participation from our listeners. So please, we're very much looking forward to it. It's going to be fun way to end the season. So, yep, once again, the Tournament of Favorites on Monday, January 25th at 8 p.m. Check our Twitter page and our YouTube page for more details.
That's right. Well, this has been Playing Favorites, right, Paul?
That's right, Justin.
I'm Justin.
Paul. Let's do it again.